Good morning, everybody. Today is April 15th, and this is the Town of South Kingstown Assessment Board of Review meeting. And this is a continuation of the work session from last week, which I believe was April 8th. First item of business is roll call. David Bott is here. Gentleman to my right.
And Monroe's here.
Gentleman.
Brad Heavenor is present.
And the lady to my left.
Alice Cleaset, present.
Okay, we have a full, we have 4 members present. I guess we have to do approval of minutes. Do we have to do approval of minutes today? Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, I don't have the approval. I don't have the minutes in front of me. I must have missed them. Is this one right here, April 8th? Okay, all right. Okay, we have the minutes to approve from the April 8th work session. Yes, on the back side.
It looks very similar to the agenda. You'll see April 8th in tiny, and it says draft around it. It is double-sided, so the bulk of the minutes are on the back.
All right, okay, excuse me. These minutes are the minutes from the March 25th meeting.
April 8th?
April 8th?
So we approved it.
All right, okay, I got you. All right. Yeah, okay. So, sorry about the confusion, folks. Do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Minutes have been approved. Okay, back to the work session. All right, the first appeal that we're going to be discussing is Appeal 110. And just a quick question to Wendy, is there any reason that we should be taking any of these? I think what we'll do is just go in sequential order on this.
You can go in sequential order. Just in case you had any questions for Appeal 110, Barbara Hendrick is in the chambers.
Okay, all right. Okay, and then Jen's going to time us for 10 minutes. Thank you, Jen. That way, at least we can see if we can, keep tabs on how long we're getting involved here. Okay. Who wants to start with this? Do we want a quick update from Wendy, or is somebody ready to make a comment or a question? Maybe it would be good, Wendy. I'm just thinking maybe it would be nice if you would just kind of give us a quick.
Sure, I can read on the basis of their original appeal.
Run down and let us know where we're at, just as a reminder.
Okay, so real quick, cliff notes on Appeal 110. The original appeal reason reduction sought was for overvaluation, and the applicant's opinion of value is $420,000 fair market value. This is for 421 Glenrock Road. Currently, the total appraised parcel value is $920,100. This is a ranch style, and noted that the year of construction was 2025. If you look at the front of the field card, you'll notice there was a building permit pulled in 2023 for $300,000, and that was for a single-family dwelling. I don't see a demo permit on here, but I'm going to. There was no house there before. Okay, so completely new construction. There was also an appraisal provided.
This was the appraisal. So prepared by the appraisal was a cost. Sorry for I apologize for interrupting.
Do you take the rope in?
Just as a reminder, this was the analysis that was essentially cost analysis.
Replacement cost as is condition.
So it was replacement cost new because it's new construction, and then they deducted out some of the remaining work because the property either is incomplete or was incomplete at the time of the assessment. So there's some depreciation taken for the unfinished areas of the home that were identified. So that $420,000 that was mentioned, that's on their application.
Only, yes.
Their case is really that because I think the structure is assessed for some $590,000.
$543,100 is what we have for year-end 12/31.
So they're kind of it's one of these cases where they're contesting the value of of the structure, essentially.
Okay, yeah.
Based on, so it is an analysis presented by a certified residential appraiser. It's I don't usually see this type of it's limited to an assessment of the.
This would have been a prorated parcel, so for year end, actually give me one moment, I'm gonna actually log into our collection software and just see what we ended up with.
And I since Ms. Hendrick is here, if you would like to kind of add to the conversation, or if you have anything to add to this, I believe that was it Alan Haskins was here previously. You're welcome to come forward and if it's at the pleasure of the board. If you have anything you want to add or contribute to the appeal, you're welcome to take the mic for any additional.
So with the 420, is that our understanding that that's strictly of the building and we're not having anything to do with the land, so that is separate? So what was it, the town has it at what,
540, 300.
So that is what we need to decide, is if the building is being fairly taxed at the 540 or?
The appraisal was done in September of '25. I'm wondering if by December, the building was complete.
It is true, the effective date on the cost valuation is September 11th, 2025, so that's after the assessment date, right? The assessment date is the December 2024.
Okay, so let me see if I can share the screen with you. Okay. So for year end 12/31/24, it's 53% under construction, and we had the improvement. It wasn't there. Actually, I apologize. The improved value is 1994. This is going to get tricky because it is a prorated value for year end 12/31/24, and the appraisal is as of
September.
Yeah.
Right, so what we see reflected on the field card, I guess that's the subsequent completion of
That's
of the
completed,
building.
and that's what will be billed for 12/31/25. So the bill that gets generated in July will be for full value at $920,100.
All right, so we got a moving target and kind of competing dates of value.
Correct. So you're looking at the estimated replacement cost structure only as is on the date of July 15, 2025. That we don't look at it that way. It would be for year end 24 or year end 25. And like you said, it is a moving target. So fully completed at 543. That's at 100%. So if we had it at 50, it'd be fair to assume it'd be 50% of that, which is 270,150. We had it at 199,4. So it's really just a matter of was it fair for year end the completion. I think is really what they're at. But they're saying their penny value at that time was 420. We had it at 270,150. I think in the past, anything that was under construction we haven't really touched, so that'll be up to you whether you want to or not.
Yeah, I guess the question, so now that the improvements are assessed at 540, is that something then does that apply to this current assessment cycle? Right. So even if we took this data and said, we agree, the assessment appears to be a little high.
Right, is year end 24, and their opinion that was 25. So in my humble opinion, it would be more appropriate for them to appeal this year
Right.
this is why
Understood.
typically I think we've but it's up to you whether you want to or not, but it makes sense to usually wait for the 100% and then be able to deal with the appeal at that point.
Right, because they haven't really been hit yet for.
It
they
wasn't
still
for
have a-
July 24, there wasn't anything
They
there.
still have a chance to, like, if they are over-assessed as a complete structure, they have their chance will
Every
come.
year they can appeal, so it's just a matter of putting the cart before the
Yeah,
horse,
this is
or
tricky for us,
the cake
when-
before we abate it.
When we get a building that's under construction and they pin the value in December 2024, it's like we have to go back in time and understand what structure was there. That's kind of the effective date that we're dealing with was while your home was in process, essentially. And that's like, that becomes like a tricky moving target for us to change. As, you know, I think,
I mean, I usually don't show the
It is a
screen, but
compelling
I'll
image.
show you up here, there's no way for me to zoom in, unfortunately, but if you look down here, assessment history, and I'll highlight it for you. So these saves here, this is an interim save and a final save, so there's things that happen in between we certify, so you want to look at this final value. So for the final value for year-end 12/31/24, which is your purview right now, if you look across, there's an outbuilding of 3,400. That was not, there wasn't anything there, basically. That was what they got billed for. So their opinion of value being 420 on 2025 is for this cycle, which we haven't entered into yet. So I'm not sure how you're going to handle this otherwise.
right, and we can't start the next season of appeals ad hoc as we do right now.
Please don't. But anyway, so for year-end 12/31/2024, the outbuildings 3-4, they're saying that they think it's valued at 420. So that's really what you want to look at if you want to hone it down to something.
I'm not sure I know how to attack that, so Brad, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I don't quite understand. So the final value 2024, sorry to belabor it.
That's what they got billed for their 2025 bill that went out in July. So for 2024, that is 4/12/31/24. So that's the date of assessment, just like Santa Claus, only one day matters, and same with us.
Okay.
So if you look at outbuilding,
Yeah, I'm looking at-
whatever was there, I'm not going to go into detail whether it be a shed or for a foundation, we have it valued at 2,500. So I'm assuming nothing really was there other than something.
So,
was there.
on their most recent tax, so that they weren't assessed. I'm just saying because I see the building value at 540.
I'm sorry.
Like I'm looking
The
at,
improved value, if you look at it, is 543.7. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column.
Yeah.
My coffee hasn't kicked in yet. So that's what they were billed for, 543.7 for year-end 24. So we actually probably should have put 2024 for year built, but it looks like they're still 95%. They're not at 100 yet.
I don't
Yeah,
understand
well, they were waiting on their CO, so it's complicated. So for year-end 24, we actually had the total value at,
total value.
yeah, she got
So they
billed
were,
for what's there. For 95%,
They were assessed at 95% of
for year-end on 12/31.
$920,100.
Yeah, that outbuilding, I'm sorry, I'm looking at that 3-4 is 2 sheds that were there. It says year built 2025. They're storage units? Okay. Well, okay, yeah, once we do the final, we'll take those off your card. Okay, I'll make a note of that. So for year-end 12/31, they were at 95%, and the building value was 543.7.
Sure, so we're kind of back where we started now. Yeah, okay.
Is there anything we can look at, or I don't have any data to make any decisions of changing it then. I agree with Wendy, and I think with you, Brad, that this is going to have to be on the next cycle, where they can take a full look at it, as opposed to going back in time and trying to make that determination. I don't know how I could change anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten confused, but
I got confused too, I'm sorry.
Right.
Only because,
Because I'm
your
like,
bill
I'm
being
resetting what I'm
2025.
saying. The assessment is,
There's-
they're being hit for $540,000 of improvements that they say is only worth $420,000. So
Yeah.
we're back to the
I
case
forgot,
of,
we don't put 24 because we're still waiting for the CO, so
Yeah.
technically,
they're at a certain percentage, but it's almost complete.
almost complete, yeah. and
Which
then
is
we're
accounted for in
95% means
their-
we're just waiting for the final.
Correct. And they've actually accounted for that in their calculation.
Yeah.
They're like, the building new is going to be, it would be 450, and they've deducted the 30,000 as essentially cost to complete. So I think we do have, the building is assessed for $540,000, and they have an analysis from an appraiser saying that that building is worth $420. So I think we have to look at that.
How is the timing of that?
Yeah.
That's,
Timing is, it's unfortunate that the data value on this one is in the middle of 2025.
don't we need that appraisal to be as of the date of, that it was appraised
It'd be-
in order for us to take it into, I mean, I love the.
No, it would be easier
has
because we,
value, But if it's not an apples to apples.
yeah. No, we
I don't
don't,
know how much weight to give it because it's not as of the date we need it to
no,
be.
this is a good,
Further date.
this is a good point. Being that it was under construction, we don't really have anything that speaks to what was there as of December 31st, 2024. I mean, in a sense, by bringing the date out to July 2025 or whenever the date is, I mean, they're basically saying that the building is, I mean, it aligns with the assessors. They're saying it's about 95% complete, roughly, and it aligns with the assessor's valuation as of the effective date. So there is an alignment, or September 2025. They're kind of giving credit.
I mean, I have an Eagle View tool that we could see what was there on 12/30 visually,
Yeah.
but 7 months of construction is a lot.
But in terms of fair and equal, with, Wendy, with any construction, with the appraisal coming, if they come in July or August, are they, on all houses, are they assuming that it's going to be completed by the end of the year? Or are they
We
doing?
don't assume anything. It's really how we work in tandem with building. Like we go with in use, and a lot of times they're already living there, so we're at 100%. But we're not going to bring it to 100% because it doesn't have, we don't have the CO, the certificate of occupancy, so we let it hang there until that part gets
Until
completed.
you guys receive evidence.
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't know if
CS,
it's,
yeah.
I don't know, there's a bunch of fees on all this stuff that needs to get sorted out before we bring it up to 100%. But this is what was there as of 12/31/24. I zoomed in as much as you can visually, that the structure's there, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's gonna help you out very much for the inside of the building.
and I think to address Ken's concern here, like, this would be a compelling case once we have 100% completion and we have an indication of replacement cost or value as of an assessment date. Either of those things or both would probably give us a stronger direction to go, but we've got moving parts, moving dates.
This was assessed as any other house would have been. It was not unusual.
Nothing unusual about how this was handled.
So what does the board want to do? I guess my only comment is I understand the assessment was at 25. However, construction, you know that was where it was either at that point or not as complete at that point at the end of 24. So, I mean, I understand that we can't take it, we really shouldn't be looking at something in 2025, but there couldn't have been more work done than what was shown in 25. So I bring that point up.
It would be lower, yeah.
It's going to be less, but even if you use that as a baseline, that 25 appraisal, you still, we have a compelling reason to look at this and say, well, yeah, we have an appraisal in front of us. If it was the other way around, I wouldn't, if it was early in the year, I wouldn't be considering it. But you're not gonna take something out of the house for an appraisal, I don't think.
No, I think that is, that's the secret, that's why it gives me a double take,
Yeah.
in spite of the dates not being aligned, it's like, obviously, they're not gonna withdraw things from the home. They're basically acknowledging it was at 95% or near completion. I mean, their real case is that the assessor has the unit cost, at, whatever their cost analysis is.
I mean, I'd be willing to look at consider the appraisal, even though it's not in the time frame that we normally have, just because of this special circumstance. So, based on that, I would be looking to do some type of reduction, knowing that that's gonna be, just for this 1 year, and, it's gonna change once the house is complete.
So then what it boils down to essentially is a difference of opinion on the value of the structure based on this cost analysis. And looking at what was presented, I mean, they've got it's hard to align the two because they have a more detailed cost breakdown in the appraisal, but they're basically saying I think it's $270 a square foot for everything, including the basement, etc. So like all-in construction costs in that kind of upper 200 range. The assessors, it's a similar situation. They have a unit cost of $280 a square foot, but they're also adding in the basement and the wood deck as an additional $90,000 additional cost. It's tricky because we don't often, usually we're looking at the total value, so it gets us a little out of our comfort zone as well, in analyzing cost figures. But yeah, I can speak to a little bit of this is a cost estimator that appraisers use, Marshall Swift. It's what an appraiser would typically employ for a kind of a cost analysis, which has applicability for kind of new construction.
I'm not real familiar with this estimator, but as a builder, I'm looking at this, and these numbers they seem to be in line with what I'm used to seeing. So, by the way, that was a timer for 20 minutes, correct me, Jay?
So we always have one out of the gate that's a little tricky.
Either one of you have any thought suggestions or a way, a mechanism? Because I'm a little bit more at a loss of this one, but Brad, as an appraiser and you as a builder, I'm not sure if you have a sense of what you're seeing would be something reasonable or not.
I can just say, I don't know the answer to like what we do about it, but they went to the trouble to present as evidence that was presented by a third-party professional. To me, it has credibility, which is why it's taking 20 minutes to kind of I want to give it. It warrants a close look because it has credibility, and I think. Yeah, it's the right thing to do to take a closer look. What our response is, it boils down to a difference of opinion and value that they're focusing in on. The assessors kind of overestimating this on a cost basis, which we have seen this cycle, before, but not usually with a ranch home.
I don't know if this is helpful or not. I'm trying to be helpful. So the date of the replacement cost as is, the inspection was on September 4th, and they're saying as of July 15th, 2025, it was estimated to be 420, but that when they did the inspection on September 4th, it actually was lower. So as of September 11th, it's 408. So there's, I'm thinking they're saying 408 here. But anyway, on 4/16, Jen went out to the property, and we have it as 95% as of April of 25. So this figure, this 540, 540,300, that's what we have for April. So that'll at least give you some baseline as of 25, and then they had their penny value in September. So you can use that number. So you're looking at the difference between 540, 300 at 95%. Now, what's that 5% going to do? I could tell you what it'll be at 100%, if that's helpful as well. And I think that's the only two missing puzzles, I think, to get to do what you need to do. So let's just pretend that they're at 100%. Like, what would it be? And again, this is for year end, would be for 26. So I'm just going to take that out. Just bear with me. On the field card, that is so annoying. All right. Sorry, I have to do this manually. No. There's certain things I can do on a desktop that the laptop won't. Okay, so that 5% difference is 28,500. So let's add that to the 540,300. So at 100% complete, the structure will be for this year end. Obviously, not your purvey, but just something to be mindful of, just so you can see where the gap is. It's 568,800. So once that CO comes into play, that will be the full value of the structure. Yep, 568,800, but at 95, it's at 543,300, and it was at 95% complete in April of 25, and this as-is appraisal came through in September.
Yeah, and just to kind of like round that out, in their analysis, the replacement cost new, brand new, in their analysis, I have it 452,000. And they've deducted out.
So you may, exactly. So
Just to
you see where I'm
apples to
trying
your-
to go. You may want to consider that 30,000.
Yeah, the spread
that
between
5%
your
matters.
opinion and the homeowner's opinion is between 568.8 and, to me, 452 and $87 if we're comparing new to new. It's about $100,000, a little more, $116,000 spread between the two.
I think that's about as clear as it's going to get. You've got your range.
So Brad, as an appraiser, is there a number or formula that you think works in this circumstance?
I mean, I think that I just always want to go back to, is this house worth $920,000? Or, you know, like I have a hard time with the cost numbers. I don't see anything in the cost analysis that, it doesn't look like they're underestimating. It looks like a pretty straight and narrow. They're calling it, you know, average good quality. So yeah, it doesn't, I don't see any kind of manipulation or like, you know, bending the data in their favor. This looks like a pretty objective, straight shooting analysis from a, you know, it's a cost book, right? So, you know, it's, to me, it's a similar kind of system that the assessor uses, you know, it's like applied to a single property. It's a similar process.
Are you in agreement with that, David?
Yeah, when I look at these numbers on this estimator here, they're in line. Yeah.
So I think a decision needs to be made by us, so I would lean towards your formulas as builders and appraisers on what you think is appropriate.
I mean, yeah, what we've done, I think, this session in cases like this is we kind of meet in the middle, or we offer kind of a compromise. I would be open to, reconciling somewhere between the assessor's number and the homeowner's number, just to acknowledge the data and information presented. That gives us a hint. I think it could just be something like a manual override, maybe.
That's what I would do.
Because we could mess around with
leave that
grade or something, but,
for the consideration of not having to appeal again with the same information, we'll override it, and then the next reval, I'll take a look at it.
yeah.
I mean, we got a delta here between, 504 and 420, right? So that's 84,000 for the structure. You want to meet like halfway? You want to not go up like 40, 45,000 or something like that?
That's reasonable to me.
I'd be willing
Middle.
to, if nobody wants to make a motion, I'd make a motion that we knock off, that we decrease the value by 45,000 based on the evidence that's been provided before us several weeks ago, and what we're discussing today, and I would leave it up to staff to.
I can just, not the whole parcel, I can override just the structure. There is a mechanism in my CAMA software, so I'll do that.
I second the motion, just for purposes of discussion.
Do we have any, we have a second. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, you're clear on what we're communicating here, Wendy? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes.
Chairman Bod, for the next appeal, 11432 Shadow Farm Way, I would suggest looking at that with Appeal 118 as well. That's 41 Shadow Farm Way. You had me do some homework. I've got that available, and you could look at those two together since they're both in the same condo development with similar appeal.
So we're looking at 114 along with what, with 118 you said? 114 and 118.
So you might want to go with them. That's up to you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. Yeah, okay, all right, let's do 109 right now. If that's okay with everybody.
It's fine. I just make that we've already decisioned this. We made a decision on this one, but I'm happy to, since someone's come, I'm happy to give them some space to present. But I think we've already ruled on that appeal.
Did we? No?
We did not. My apologies. I realize that I've got too much in my head. My apologies. Well, I mean, Wendy needs her coffee too. We're all warming up today. No, I think I got my wires crossed with another property from last time around. So I'm happy to too, David, if we want to. We can listen to this one and then.
Yeah. All right, so 109 is 442 Shannock Road. That's the subject. Bear with me, let's grab the appeal. Reason reduction sought, overvaluation and disproportionate assessment. Opinion of value is 527,100. We have the appraised parcel value at 660,400. So let me just do the math. So they're saying they're overvalued by $133,300. I'll read the explanation verbatim. Sold in 2021 in as-is condition, needed a lot of work still, have only spent $20K improvements, house backyard on a steep hill. Half of the lot is unusable. And then there was all the documents that should be in your packets as far as the subject property. With several notes. I don't think we need to go through all of them. What did I do? I denied the appeal and enclosed comparatives to support the style and effective year built, so Cape Cod and effective year built 2000. 2001 would be average, so that's fair condition. and I thought that that was appropriate.
Do you ever, is it possible in your system to set the effective year earlier than the year built?
I can't go lower than 1998, and 1998 would be fair value.
Yeah, I was just curious if that's
Yeah.
like a dividing by 0 in your system or something.
Yeah, like an average is 2001, so 2000, the as-is condition is taken into account there. And as far as the landline, their condition factors, 1%, their neighborhood adjustments, 0.95, so they had a baseline increase, which is exactly spot on the reval, so their base land was 28.9, 28% increase, and the building was 21, so their overall increase of 23% was lower than the average increase in town. I wouldn't say lower, but in line. So that was all reval. It was purchased in 2021 for $370. It was an unqualified sale because of the condition and the terms of the sale. So that would have been from the full reval. That would have been in that bucket, but it wasn't qualified. So I don't really have anything else to say about this. The comps I provided were 17 Celestial Heights Drive, 44 Sandy Bottom Shore Drive, and 87 Blackberry Hill. They were all capes with the effective year built 2000. The one that didn't have a garage was valued at $585,100, and the other cape was $803. So there was a range. We have more capes probably than anything else in town, so I had quite a bit of comps to provide, but it seems because of the as-is that may be the basis of their appeal.
Yeah, I think that, so in terms of the land, it seems like they have 2 acres, roughly 2 acres, and they've been assessed for 1 acre at full value of a site. And then an additional acre it only contributes, it's just, again, low utility. So, you know, that seems appropriate for an 1 acre of unusable hilly land that was mentioned. The question to me is the purchase for $370 and the amount of work needed. I believe they testified that they'd only done something like $20,000 or $30,000 of improvements since purchasing it. So the condition's not much better than it was, I think, at the time of sale. So closer look at, to me, condition, maybe grade. The assessor's comps all, based on what I'm looking at, they just seem to reflect superior condition. Yeah. I think, new roof, the need for new roof, new windows, new exterior painting. I mean, those could be significant expenses to bring the property back up to even average condition. So you say it's kind of assessed right now as like fair. Is that where your depreciation it seems like, so you have depreciation of 24%, and it's it seems like it
So
might
2000
more
yeah,
because it's like deferred maintenance essentially.
It's actually being average. So if you wanted to go down to 98, that's fair condition. That's as low as we can go.
Yeah, we don't even you don't have a category if there's like known deferred maintenance. It's like they need $50,000 for a roof and siding. We don't. You
Yeah,
can't just,
I mean, you
lock
could
that
start
off.
toying with a temporary obsolescence, and then once they
Yeah.
improve it, then that comes off.
Yeah, because everything is really, and it was built in it. Just to me, it's depreciated based on the current condition or the condition that's presented. It's depreciated a little bit faster than most homes built in 1988. It was probably not well kept up. But yeah, I think that's where sorry to do all the talking, guys, but yeah, if we take the evidence as to the condition of the property, I would focus in on the making an adjustment for year built, effective year built, to reflect inferior condition that it's currently assessed for. That'll move the needle a couple of percentage points, I think, based on the year built. But that's why I asked the
Would you
question
like me
about.
to give you a range for value?
Could you, if we brought the year built to 1998, which is the lowest it could go, where does that leave us?
That would bring us to, all right, so instead of 660,400, that brings it down to 648,700, so that reduces it 11,700
Right.
value.
Yeah, as I suspected, I think it's a little bit constrained just because the home was built relatively recently relative to your 100-year depreciation timetable.
It's not that you couldn't go lower, but
That's not with that.
I'd have to
button.
put a note in, but we don't typically do that. I actually don't know of any that I've come across that. You think there's a few? I haven't. I mean, in the 6 years, I haven't, but I'm sure Jen touches a lot more of the properties being the main.
We've done it before. Usually we have a year built of like 1920 where we can
it's
really
not
say like,
aggressive,
wow,
like-
the home has a lot of deferred maintenance and we need to make an adjustment here.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably be better off doing an obsolescence, a functional one, in my humble opinion, because if you start tinkering with that, like let's say we go to 1992, it's not aggressive. It's going to bring it down to 613.6. So you're just tinkering with, I think I
Totally
would
get it.
recommend a functional obsolescence. So
Right.
if we were just to leave everything being the way it is, right, leave it at 2000. Actually, might as well just go to 1998 at this point. So if we made the effective year built the same as the year built 1998, so now our baseline is going to be that 648.7. And then let's just say 5% functional, just to give you something. That would bring it to 619.4. So if you started going to 7%, 607, and then 10% brings it down to 590. So I think the functional obsolescence is probably where you want to head down.
These are tough cases, and I mean, even if we
Because
have an
they're
appraisal.
temporary. Once the
Yeah.
work's done, I can run a report, we look at that, you know what I mean? So it seems like it's just a snapshot in time for the condition of the property as of.
Because even if I was appraising it, you'd have to say like, well, what would it be worth if it was in better condition? And then we kind of back a number out, saying, okay, it does need a new roof or windows or whatever we find on the site. These are tough cases because it's again similar to the last case. We have the property's kind of transitional between, it needs some work to bring it back to its full glory.
You have some type of number in mind, Brad? Or I'm okay with where you're going with this. Alice,
Yeah.
do you have an opinion on this?
No, I agree with obsolescence and bringing the year down, whatever that number comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and the obsolescence really is something that could be then wiped if renovations are completed before the next cycle, an inspector would see. And so you could zero that out if the property.
Yeah, we
comes
look
back
at
to-
everything situation once the permits are pulled, and then we look at everything in its totality every time we have a situation like that. So that would be a flag.
Yeah, so I mean, I think where I
They
would
wouldn't
go.
do improvements, and that value would live in infamy.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I think we could go in that direction. I would do both. Move the effective year built to 1998, and this is I don't know if I want to make a motion, but I would do probably 10% functional obsolescence to account for like the additional, deferred maintenance essentially that's impacting
That
the
would
property.
get you to 590, 100.
And again, I mean, that kind of lands us between where the assessor began and I think the value that the property owner is putting on this at 527.1. So
That
we're
wouldn't get touched again unless improvements were done.
So that would stay until you have evidence that the property's been improved. If they do significant renovations, then the obsolescence could go away and the effective year bill could
Even if,
also.
not saying that this would happen, let's say they don't pull a permit and there is some type of, when the full there's mechanisms in place to catch them. Obviously not every year, but in a reval cycle.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. We see this sometimes with properties that are kind of like under, they're in some stage of renovation.
I'm assuming that is a motion?
I'll make that a motion. My motion would be to reduce the effective year built at 1998 and add a 10% factor for functional obsolescence to account for the deferred maintenance.
I'll second the motion. So we're looking at a proposed value around 590 or 591.
Yes.
Alice, are you okay? I'm good. Yeah, okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, motion passes. We are on to the next one. Okay, we're on to the next two, which are,
All right, so there's no one else here, so I think we can get back to getting in order here. So, Appeal 114 and Appeal number 118, I would look at those together. That's for 32 Shadow Farm Way and for 41 Shadow Farm Way. Just bear with me a moment while I get those together. So I'll read Appeal 114. This is from Mr. Arthur and Maureen Robideau. They didn't give me a fair market value other than they purchased it in 2019 for $662,500. Their reason their reduction is sought is they're saying they're overvalue and disproportionate assessment. And I'm not going to go into the details of the documentation submitted. And then for Appeal 118, which is 41 Shadow Farm Way, Cerveri, sorry, for their appeal form. Opinion of value $650. They're saying that they're overvalued, and there is an explanation here, so I'll read it verbatim. Comparable properties in the area have sold for less. My neighbor's assessments are less. I have not made any improvements on the property that would increase the perceived value, and I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income. Please see attached letter, which we've read into the record in the past, so I'll spare you the details on that. But let me hand out some paperwork because here's my little to-do list. What am I doing here? All right, so I think the first request was a map of Shadow Farm, which I have. And then similar to Envine and Brandywine, we wanted to make sure that everything was correct, that there wasn't like some style or some weird depreciation or just something embedded in. So I made a spreadsheet for that and the data points for the condo sales. So I'm going to hand that to you now.
I think that was my other request, was probably for sale data from the development, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Mom comes first, always. You didn't miss anything. All right, so everyone has... Sorry. I just didn't know what you had. Okay, I'm actually going to borrow Jen's, but she's got it in better order than me. All right, so the first page is the site plan for Shadow Farm. This was fun. Every time I touch a condo every year, I learn more about it. Now, I had gone out, not last year, the year before, and met with Arthur, and he's a ham sandwich. We had so much fun with him, and he told us all about everything. He's the president of the HOA. He knew it all. So at the time, and I do have that appeal from when he appealed, it was more like Brandywine with the permits. So I didn't have, I went there with a different hat. I was really interested in who was doing what, and we couldn't figure that out. We tried to do a map with who was pulling permits, who wasn't. We didn't get to where we needed to go. So this time around, now that we know better, we did better. So I broke it down to what's going on color-wise. So in blue, you'll see the carriage house. In a pinkish color, you'll see the barn. Actually, they show up pink. One's purple and pink, but when I photocopied it, actually looks a little different, so maybe you want this one. This right here, the barn is pink and the garden village is purple, but when they photocopy, they look a little different. So this is the only thing. This two little structure here to the left is the barn. And then then there's the garden cluster, which is this one middle view. Actually, there's no views there. And then the remainder is the garden village. Now, I sent Arthur an email saying, did I get that right? And he said I did. So this is the first map we've actually ever had like this. And I had to do a little arts and crafts, so I'll have to work with our GIS person so I can get something a little bit better. But what I did was not only did I coordinate it as to what's the style of the improvement, I also marked up the views. So if you see a 0 with a slash through it, that means that there's no view. If you see a V, it means there's a view. And if you see a V plus, that is primo view. Okay, so that's your breakdown there. All right. Now, just to give you a location of where they are, Appeal 114, he's 32 Shadow Farm Way, so he is here, to the right of the carriage house in blue. He's the only one there that has a V, a view. I think he said he didn't, but in our world, Arthur. So in our world, yep, right where your finger is. Yeah, so 32, that's Arthur. He said he didn't have a view, but we have him as a view, so he's going to be a little higher than some of his. That is 32, yeah, Appeal 114. So Appeal 118, which is 41 Shadow Farm, is, down here by the water, so right here, actually right across from the garden cluster, and that's a view plus. So Arthur's got a view, and we'll say Appeal 114 has a view, and Appeal 118 has a view plus. All right, next page. Any questions? Styles and views.
I assume you're getting at it, but the views and styles, we'll see those in the base unit cost, right?
Yes, actually, if you look at, unfortunately, during the full reval, this got missed, and it's taken me years to actually get this corrected on our end, but we have corrected them. If you look at your field card, let me get it. Just a little education here. When I first came here, when I worked for the town of Barrington, and I came here during the reval, we had, quite a bit of turnover. I was wondering why the condo data on the back of the card was blank. Well, now I know why. We learned for Envine, none of the styles were in there, so it wasn't populating correctly. So I finally got all the condos to show up on the field card. So if you look on the back of the card under condo data, right in the middle, any field card that's a condo, you can look at either 32 Shadow Farm or 41 Shadow Farm. So on the back of the card in the middle, there's this little section here called condo data, and it'll say Shadow Farms. Now, you'll notice on here it has a condo, there's numbers there. They mean something to me, it doesn't mean anything to you. It means views and all that stuff. But I noticed this description, new construction, and I was like, what's that? That's not new, nothing there's new. So I had a question, I was like, well, I'm gonna do the spreadsheet like we did with the other condos, and we're gonna find out. So we did find out, wait for it, we're getting there. All right, so we had to do some cleanup first on aisle 1 before we could even get to the spreadsheet. So I was going to rerun another one, but I left my corrections in there because it was important. So I went into my reval condo data, and I populated it for all the units at Shadow Farm. Now, I tried to color coordinate it, who's the carriage, who's the barn. There was one property that did not appeal that was incorrect. We had them styled as a barn. They weren't in the barn, they were in the carriage. I made the change. I dropped the value slightly. And then I noticed everything else was new construction. Well, I ended up pulling, and you'll see it back here. Wait for it. I pulled the plans, and there were 2 plans that recorded, one in 1984 and 1987. So this new construction style has been on the books since way back when. Well, clearly it's not new anymore. We're in the year 2025. So once I did my map, I realized that new construction, there were 2 categories. Garden cluster and garden village. So through the process of those 2 appeals, I still am standing by my humble assessor opinion that they're correct. Now, what I did discover is that there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that were garden village, and they should have been garden cluster because they don't have the views, and they're the yellow in the middle. That highlighted. So I did change those, so they'll have slight reductions in their bills moving forward. So I corrected those. So I corrected a barn to carriage. I defuncted new construction because there were 2 different things happening, and I just broke them out. So what I thought was important, because I don't want anyone to think, well, did they get it right? We did get it right. It's just the change of the name. Like, it's still an orange, but we named it a Mellow or whatever they're called. Okay. So I took a screenshot of our adjustment screen in our CAMA software so that you could see the adjustment. So it said new construction under Garden Village. I just changed the verbiage to Garden Village, and there was a garden cluster with no units attached. So I just moved them to where they needed to be. But you can see on the adjustments that the carriage is at a higher, I'm sorry. You can see the adjustment is higher for the carriage and the barn, and then the manor is next. And so the lowest value is the garden cluster, which is that yellow section in the middle that doesn't have the view. So I'm good with that. The reval job, they did their job there. And then I also wanted you to see the other adjustment for the location. So no view is getting a little bit of a reduction. View is at 100%, and if you have a view plus, you're at a 10% or a 10 multiplier. So I'm good with everything here. I corrected everything on my end. And then at the very back, we took 2 screenshots, so 30, I think we have 33 here, but it's 32. So that's Arthur's spot here, so you can see, you know, in real time why he's got the view and they don't have the view. And also 41, why they're valued at a view plus and the others are not. So I know that was a lot all at once to go through. But we'll go back to the second page because, Brad, you wanted to see that data set. I did highlight the 2 folks that appealed, and they are, he wasn't lying there. He said he was one of the higher valued in Shadow Farm, and that is correct. But we have, in our world, in assessor world, their view's correct, their style's correct. You're built, you know, I went physically to that property, so I'm good with it. So there were changes, but I didn't see anything that needed to be done on my end to change the 2 that appealed. So now that you have that information, based on what they submitted, that'll be your purview to look at. So that's my cliff notes on Shadow Farm. Any questions?
No, I do have a question. That's good. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Wendy, you've gone through the entire complex, you have a very good sense of it, but the 2 appeals that we have before us, you didn't make any adjustments to them, and you feel confident that, based on you physically going, that everything is correct. So as we look at the 2 appeals, I'm not going to worry about the other ones, but it's good to know that.
You got it. And for the basis of your appeal, you probably wouldn't, but because I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's correct moving forward. Just because of discovery and condo complexes are a little bit different. Than the domino
And the 2
will stop versus doing things
The
around
2
town.
applicants are being treated fairly based on their neighbors on the complex.
Based on where they're at, based on their view,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
and apples to apples. Now,
Because
someone
that
thinks they
might
don't have a
include
view
some
and
of
we
the
have them
other
as a view, that's a whole different discussion. That's an opinion, but I'm comfortable with everything that happened. I'm actually glad they appealed because I was able to correct it to the best of our abilities at this point in time. Now, that doesn't always live forever. Something else might change, but this is a good example of, I don't know if there were many appeals ever, so this might never have gotten touched in 20 years, and that new construction, yeah, it was new then. It didn't really make sense now, so I just changed the title of it, but the adjustment on the back end was correct, so there wasn't anything that I needed to correct for the reval other than just reclassifying that middle garden cluster. They actually know an appeal, but they were getting valued higher as if they were in Garden Village with better views. So I changed that for year-end moving forward. None of them appealed, so no abatements are going to be issued. It was just due to discovery, so I'm good with it. That doesn't mean that your opinion is going to be the same as mine. But for the 2 folks that appealed, it's very similar to Brandywine. They're comparing there's nothing we can do about that. You know, that shakes out during a full reval. We'll be able to do interiors, and we'll recalibrate it when that happens. Or if there's a sale and we see that there's a finished basement, but we don't have a finished basement link. So that gets dealt with at a completely separate venue, which I know people do not enjoy. We don't either. It's a problem. It's been problematic. It's always going to be a problem. So in that manner, the gripe is similar to Brandywine because, you know, someone's doing the right thing. Either they're not doing any construction because they don't want to you know, don't want to move the needle on their assessment, but then you've got somebody across the street who didn't pull a permit, they revamped it, sold it for what it is, and then, you know, and there's other things that happen if things that the appellant might not consider is that if we find, you know, if there's a finished basement without a permit, sometimes, you know, building will, they've got to take that out. So that's a whole nother problem that has nothing to do with the appeal. That gets sorted out in a whole different venue. That's just another issue. But if you have any other questions about the two that appealed and what they provide, I'd be more than happy to go there. And my computer's shutting down again for no random reason, so give me a minute.
So I'm very impressed with what you've done.
Every time I get one or two appeals on those condos, I go right into the deep end. So I'm happy that they appealed. We're trying to make it more fair and correct. If we know better, we do better.
Yes, I applaud you on what you've done here, Wendy. It's, you know, I don't know if you were solo on this or if there was other team members involved or staff. But I'm familiar with Shadow Farm. I've done some, you know, work for several clients and repairs over there over the years. And so just so I'm clear, so you've really done due diligence with all of these View Plus, compared all these View Plus, these highlighted in the...
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with Shadow Farm now. I'm very familiar now with a lot of the condos. So I'll tell you know, when I was a newbie a couple of years ago, I was looking at it with I knew there was an issue with the permits, and I was kind of trying to sort that out. There's no way to sort that out. That's just not the way to look at it. And which I also live in town. We live in town. It's not fair. Our job is to make things fair and equitable, but I don't have all authority to control everybody. I love that everyone think I have that much power. I do not. But what we do is when we know, this is what we do every day, all the time. So we're mindful of the condos, all the houses during the full reval in particular, especially because the last reval, you know, that back of the condo card, that shouldn't have been missed, but there wasn't anyone here to temper that. So I'm glad that we're cleaning things up still from the full. And I don't mean clean up meaning the market. I mean like the things on the back of the field card and why isn't that populating and like, you know, what is it? Is there a problem or isn't there a problem? So we just clean them up as the appeals come. So this is completely scrubbed on my end. I'm happy with it. And if they hadn't appealed, this wouldn't have gotten looked at. So if condos aren't, if there's a development that they're not appealing for years and all of a sudden there's an appeal, that's why, you know, we say that it's not like anyone was negligent. It just there wasn't a mechanism to look at it. So that new construction code's been on there since the 80s. And it's not new now. So now we've got them labeled correctly, but the back end tables were correct, other than Garden Village. And none of them appealed, so I wouldn't have known to look at it unless other folks did.
My question, I guess, then is what is underlying the difference in value between the different clusters and the view? Like, I asked just like as an example, just kind of like remembering back to one of the homeowners that came in. You know, she's the one at 48A, for example, 41. I apologize, 41. They're assessed at 938.7, right? And they kind of looked around their neighborhood. Like she can see, or they can see out their front door, unit 24, for example, which is the same size and the same effective year built, 1997, same in the same living area. Assessed for $696,000, so that's almost a $250,000 difference in assessed value for the same size unit with the same condition. That you could throw a football to. So
wait, one moment, Rick. I'm with you, but I missed. You're comparing 41 Shadow Farm to which
24.
one? 24.
24, just because it's a similar.
That one, because I changed it, they're not at a garden view, they're a garden cluster.
Yeah.
So I moved them, but also their effective living area. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I need a ruler.
Yeah, well, that garden, there's a big stone wall around that garden.
There sure is. It's not apples to apples.
I think my question is there enough data underlying it to support a $250,000 difference in value within the development? Because I mean, they're looking around at their neighbors. Is there a premium to be in the, where this person is in the garden village, or the garden, whatever it is, garden village? That's like, it's like a 30% premium for whatever view they have, or whatever, like, I just am curious, where's that coming from? Like, where?
Let me look to see how many sales there were, because I know there was some. It's coming from sales. That's how they,
Yeah,
that's how we do the adjustments.
everything that you did, like, it makes sense, the groupings make sense, the differences between the good views and the medium views and the no views make sense, but I'm just thinking about the magnitude. And I'm just thinking too, because then, I could imagine being back here in a couple of years with 10 people from Shadow Farm asking why, like, this person's view is a little bit better than my view.
All right, so obviously everything's based on sales, so apples to apples. There were 73 sales, condo sales. There were 2 specifically in Shadow Farm. And the 2 that sold were at 58 Shadow Farm Way. Sale price was $544, and that was on August 23rd. So what do we have on that now? 8 Shadow Farm. Is it? So that sale was in the Manor with a view, and we've got them assessed at $598.4. The other sale was, this one's in Shadow Farm, so it's Kingstown Road. It's not really in that complex, so I wouldn't look at that one.
Yeah.
But the other sales came into play: Piping Clover, Curtis Corner, South Shore, Sweet Allen, Brandywine. So all the sales collectively moved their median assessment ratio to 0.94, which is exactly the percentage that we were at for assessment value. Was 94% for this reval. So they were spot on. Now, comparative, I'd have to look at that. But you're asking, is that swing appropriate based on sales? Vision saying yes. Now, whether you think that's appropriate, that's up to you.
No, I personally don't have a strong enough. I'm trying to just, like, I see this spread within the development from $323,000 up to almost $1 million, right? And I can, like, the one that we have, number 32, I can see that is, if not the largest, one of the largest units in the development. And it's also one of the, the effective year built is kind of newer, right? So I can kind of understand how that one falls at the top in addition to the view. But I was just, just thinking about the impact of, location within the complex and view, which is, I imagine hard to really.
For the next, now that I've got it corrected, for the next reval, the condos are probably the first line of business for me to go through all of them and have it organized, and then actually be able to look at apples to apples.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you, and it actually gives us a way of just organizing around this this development.
So, basically, based on what Wendy's presented, I guess my just so I'm understanding this right, I mean, we're just gonna leave everything as is. Oh, that's her recommendation. I support, I support what she's presented. I think everything is, I don't think we need to do anything, I guess, is my opinion.
I'm not seeing any data here to disprove that. Am I missing something here, or just there's no compelling arguments with data?
Yeah, and I think that what was presented, I think in both cases, they looked around, they were looking at other assessments and the proximity and things going on, but we have an explanation for why there might be differences in the development, right? It has to do with
we could deep dive on field card to field card,
amenities and location within the, like some locations are more desirable than others within the complex. So there's explanations as to why there's discrepancy. Just like in Brandywine, when they were pinpointing in on a $5,000 difference. There's always some underlying.
I think Enlines, or South Shore Village, I should say, is really going to be, I wouldn't use a comp, obviously, but the location, like, we're not 100% over there, and I can already tell, like, we didn't have any of the styles in. We had to put all 300 styles in, right? So we did all that cleanup. So for the next statistical, when they're on their last phases now, they're cruising through. So when they're at 100%, I'm gonna go right back again and look at, the same issue. Like, is that, the appellant had said they wanted a better hole, they wanted to move from one hole to the other because they wanted that view. Well, obviously that matters, but that's not, we don't know until everything's complete because their whole development's under construction, but that's gonna come into play just like it is here and at any other condo that's like that.
Okay, so what we need to, make it, anybody wanna make a motion, or?
I would make the separate motions for Appeal 114 and then make your motion, and then 118 make your motion, and then you can move on to the next one.
I would make a motion, appeal number 114, I would make a motion that we deny the appeal. That's it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any other discussion? Just to say that, again, staff has done a great job presenting, the comparisons here. I am personally familiar with Shadow Farm. I've done a lot of work over the years. I've been over there 100 times at least, not lately, but I'm familiar with the layout and the buildings there and what's what, and so I understand everything that's on this map quite easily. So I feel good about, what we're doing here. All right. That being said, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. And I would make a motion on number 118 to deny the appeal as well. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Was that 2 and 10 minutes? No, that was 20 minutes.
I'm impressed. We've got 4 down. Keep going.
Okay.
So we're at Appeal 91.
We're on number 91, correct? Is it,
That's correct.
okay. We'll be looking at number 91. Maybe
I have to
Wendy-
apologize if this keeps booting me out, and I'll just keep trying.
Okay. Maybe if you can, I'm just going to get if you can maybe just give us a quick update while I'm getting my papers together.
I don't know, so on this one, I don't think that this person presented. I think this was kind of a person that submitted an appeal but did not attend the meeting. So,
That is correct. Let me just pull that appeal. I actually went out to that property, not this past season, but last year. This is the second year they appealed for the same reason, I believe. Just bear with me one moment.
91. I did read it. I mean, I think that it boils down to the property's proximate to the ocean, and there's new construction occurring in front of
Yeah,
their home.
I'm actually going to share
is
the screen
obstructing their
with
water
you.
view.
Once you see the visual, you'll see exactly why.
In that sense, it's a very straightforward appeal. There's one base, a singular basis, and it centers on this new home obstructing their view.
All right, I got it up here. All right, so there's 810 Charlestown Beach Road, highlighted in blue. I'm just going to zoom in here. So actually, I want to go back a couple years so you can see. So this is the new construction here, and we drove up here, and I was actually standing right here. See where that mouse is on that porch? There's ocean views, but I would imagine if you didn't have an obstruction prior to, and then you did, you might be upset about that. Now, there was a variance granted to this structure in the front. It is if I pull up that parcel, they are right on the parcel line. How? I don't know. But anyway, there was a variance granted. They built it. He is not happy about that. So he's looking for some type of view reduction. I hadn't seen it prior to this being built, so I don't have another opinion as to what was there before other than what I saw, and I deny the appeal because the views are still there. And you are on Charlestown Beach Road. It'd be hard to say you don't have a view. You just don't have the view you had before that was built.
And we don't have a chart or characters to say phenomenal, and then the house goes up and it.
You got it. So actually, if we pull
So
up,
we get it, and we have understanding of why the applicant would be upset, but from a town's perspective, he still has views, and we can't really split the hair to say you're down 5%, whatever the.
you got it. You got it. So that's why I printed what you have here. You can see here, this is the view you really want to look at, like if you're looking toward the ocean here.
I sympathize and I get it. 'Cause
I
think you have
totally
to
get it.
Either, and that seems to be a monstrosity that was allowed, but it was there, and
It wasn't there, and then it is. So I understand personally. I think we could all put ourselves in the same shoes. But his opinion of value is 1,600, where we have him at 1,9645. The structure itself is 397.9. So the driver's the land. But I'll read his reason. The reduction sought is other. Decrease in value obstructed ocean view construction at home at 840 Charlestown Beach Road is larger than the previous home. So he's complaining, he's appealing because of the variance that was granted to the structure in front of him that he feels shouldn't have been granted.
and maybe this isn't for us, but wouldn't he have had a strong say in that?
I was
You know,
thinking
I
the
would
same
go
thing,
down
yeah.
the road of researching, was there public notice, did he attend, yada, yada,
I mean, that's
yada,
not,
but
that's not for us, but I would think that he would.
I would imagine that took place.
Right? I mean, you're a building agent, so he would have had the ability to not have, have an effect on that.
Yeah, I actually pulled it up, here's the house, I mean, look at the,
No, I mean,
it's
I
real
see it and I
tight.
get it, I just don't know what he did or didn't do or have the ability.
Yeah, I mean, I wish he had maybe given us more evidence about, did he try to contest it? Was it fruitful? I don't have that information, but you could see why.
I mean, I think
It's pretty self-explanatory.
because if you buy a property near the water, you have to it has to be baked into your residing there. There has to be some reasonable expectation that things might happen to your. I mean, this is all of us living in homes. Like your neighbors may do things to their properties that impact your property. That's not new, especially in water, like tear down homes, and that's not new. So I think you can't always expect, conditions in your neighborhood to remain in perpetuity. I mean, the beef here may simply be that a new home was approved that one would not have reasonably expected would have been approved by the town. Because if you you buy a house, you look at your zoning, you look at your setbacks in the neighborhood, and you say, oh, okay, the most that they could build there is X, Y, Z. And then, somebody goes and gets the required variances to do something that was unexpected. So, I mean, that's the heart of it for me, but I don't know I don't know what our role is to play in trying to remedy that. That's, in agreement with you guys. And I don't even really know what the impact on value would be of what was once a superior ocean view that is still an ocean view, but impacted by.
I mean, the only way to know would be
it's time to-
sales,
No, I mean, there's
but
sometimes new homes in a
sure
neighborhood that
someone
help
would
your
love to
value.
speak that
Like when
up.
it's like it doesn't hurt to have. We don't know what was there before, so we don't have a lot to go on here. I think.
And just for context, we do have, I meant to say it in the beginning, Appeal 135, and oops, I just noticed that should say 136, it's a typo. But for 994 Charlestown Beach Road and 988 Charlestown, same area, totally different reason for why a reduction sought, but just to be mindful, there are two other appeals on Charlestown Beach Road, but this one is a completely different reason. Had he been in the front, he may have had the same, similar, the issues down there where they had that storm and that some had to rebuild, but he didn't have that problem. He has a different one.
When I look at the price, would it sell for 1.9? It's within the range. It doesn't look excessively off.
Point well taken, Alice.
Yeah,
So
so
I like your opinion on that. And Ken, Ken, do you have an opinion on this as, being a realtor? I mean, seeing what you see there, I mean, I think you still have a good ocean view, and you've got a house that's certainly a really nice house in front of you. Unfortunately, but I would think that would,
Yeah, I agree with Alice 100%.
It's on stilts. It's on stilts.
I'm looking at the card here. I mean, it's already elevated up around 10 or 11 feet up off the ground, so you're pretty much at the max height here for, I think it's 30, I don't know if it's 30 or 35 feet, I can't remember what it is, but you're still gonna have a pretty good view on that second floor and actually on the first floor as well.
And I have sympathy, but I don't know that I'm comfortable with any form of a price reduction because of it, from the evidence that is presented here.
And just to be mindful, there's notes on the field card. The main acre, he's at a 3.0.
I noticed that. There are notes about obstructed views already on the land valuation due to what was
You got
previous-
it, but I'll tell you, you get two people, some will say, I think it's have this lens where I find it less desirable, yada, yada, and someone else, I don't know, me and Jen, if we won the Powerball, I'd go for that one all day. It's kind of a nice spot. But yeah, everything else is being taken into consideration, the wetlands, the topo. I mean, I look at this and I think he's right, spot on.
So I think in light of that, I would make a motion to deny the appeal based on, I think, just lack of evidence of impact on value and, the other factors that we've discussed.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Okay, next one is number 92, is that correct?
92 was also a no-show, and this is the one when we received, I think, was just kind of a the appeal was kind of based on the rate of tax increases, and then I think that they're also, they're upset about the school enrollment and the new school building, and they ask for a prorated tax rate to account for services that they would not receive. I think, based on the school, basically they want to extract the school taxes from their assessment.
I was happy to go through and make another arts and crafts session. Last season, we had a few appeals from Rayfield Meadow, so we pretty much hashed out, style and why these are rated more, the walkout woods, yada, yada, yada. But I didn't have a data point, so now I'm getting really good at these spreadsheets for you guys so that you can kind of see where they're at. So if you look at the chart here, 28 Camden is highlighted in yellow. It's a 3-page document of all of the styles and relation to, the living area, effective year build, and the assessed values. So if you have any questions, I can answer.
I don't have any questions. I think you summed it up, and Brad summed it up pretty well with the tax rate. I don't see, quite frankly, what can we do with that? I don't see anything we can do, so I would be in favor of denying it and moving on to the next one. I'll make a motion that we deny appeal number 92 based on the information that's presented as a warrant, any type of an adjustment on the assessment.
Second the motion.
We have a second. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Next one on the agenda is 103. Appeal number 103.
I remember this one. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the gentleman that he owns a home that's in a cul-de-sac that access through Charlestown, and he abuts a series of lots on, I think it's Matuna Beach Road, if I'm not mistaken, and he pointed out that his land assessment. I think he's kind of focused on land assessment, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it's coming back to
And
you.
he's pointing out that his land assessment is higher than properties that he can stand on the boundary of his lot and tap his toe on his neighbor's property that's assessed for
You got it. And
less.
I went through this last meeting where I made sure that all of his abutter, they all have productions for exactly that, and then he's very close to Charlestown as well, but yeah, they were all online.
Yeah, all his services come from Charlestown, that's the one, right?
Right. I believe that it was, Ken pointed out last time, which is a good point, that, homes that are, like cul-de-sac homes in neighborhoods like that may be worth more, or, it may be superior than homes that are just kind of located on a busy street. That's like one impact on land value that might be worth considering when he's comparing his property to his neighbors.
Yeah, he was heavy on comparing to the properties on the Matuna Schoolhouse Road because they were closer to the water, which is accurate. But being in the cul-de-sac right behind there, to me, as a realtor, that lot is worth more money being in that cul-de-sac as opposed to being on a busy road, or as we'll refer to, and Alice can agree with me or not, but the double yellow line. If it's a double yellow line, it has a different effect because of the traffic patterns. Where a cul-de-sac, there are no lines. And so in my opinion as a realtor, those lots are worth more money. And Alice, you can agree or disagree with me, generally speaking.
Proximity to water is negligible. It's the same.
And I think that it's kind of he also made the point that he doesn't benefit from the town services because he relies on the town of Charlestown to do snow plowing and road maintenance.
Right, and that may be accurate, but I don't know how that's a charge of this board.
No.
Because I also know that recently with the town not giving the services that they used to a lot of private roads, that to me is something that, again, Wendy and the crew, I feel your pain for dealing with that because I wouldn't know how to exactly translate that into value because that is a shock to those people. But in this case, I don't see how we can infer anything from the value. At least I don't have a strong opinion of that.
Let me ask this too, that I believe the assessor already made a change to the assessed value of this property before it came to appeal.
I did. He didn't, it's tough for me, and, I may change my opinion of how I handle these moving forward, but when there's new legislation now, and part of it is you must state your opinion of value, you must state your reason for reduction stock, because sometimes I get appeals and they're very clear what they want. Other times, there's nothing, and there wasn't really anything to say anything, so I gave, if I see something I think it's incorrect, regardless if someone's appealing or not, since I touched it, so I did do that. I made a change. I didn't think that this was a conventional, maybe you could argue it was, so I did make a change. I changed it to colonial, and I did give him that reduction, but that apparently wasn't his bone to pick, it was something else, so,
The land.
He was really stuck on the
it's been
land.
problematic where they won't say anything, they appeal with me and I don't see a basis, or if I don't see anything, I think I want to correct and I deny it, and then they're giving you information and you're, now you're comparing apples and oranges. I haven't seen the appraisal, or I haven't seen this information, and they've left the window so wide open that it's the reason they're appealing is changing, and we've seen that be problematic this cycle. Next cycle for year-end, our next appeal cycle is not going to be like that. The legislation is different, and you have to put that, or it's a denial. Mm-hmm. Because how can you do your job if it's like going in saying I need an oil change, and then all of a sudden you want your car rebuilt, like in the middle of it, like I don't have a part. That's my example.
Right. No, that all makes sense to me. So yeah, it looks like it was a reduction from 1.335 million down to 1.167. My point here is that the property owner has already received a fairly sizable reduction in assessment as part of this process, and I don't see any other reason for us to make a change for the things we're noting. So I would make a motion to deny this appeal.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Ken Monroe. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Next one is 109, correct? We just
One
did
15.
115.
17 Perrywick, I'm just gonna pull that up now.
115.
I remember this one.
I recuse myself on this one.
So we did, that's Robin. That's the one I got confused on earlier as well.
I knew when they did it, it was going to have this ripple effect. Didn't know I'd be sitting here dealing with it, but I knew it would because it was just done for so long. And again, when you're just adding something else on top of everything else, it's an avalanche. So I get it. I just don't know how the town, vision appraisal, or the town, or even us, properly deal with it. So I'll be curious to get the board's opinion. I think they like the private road, and then they like the town to take care of it. And when they did it for so long, and then they didn't, but... Slippery slope?
They'll take care of your road, Ken, but they're not gonna take care of my road? Why?
Well, they did.
I know.
And I get that that's an issue.
So on this one, I mean, two things that I noted on this that are just at least worthy of our attention as we make the decision. I mean, I remember, there's like significant flooding occurring on our street, right? And so, and this, this woman's out like on the street trying to do repairs, trying to like shovel snow and drain water, so that, like, I definitely felt like a lot of sympathy for the homeowner who's trying to take matters into her own hands and resolve the situation. But they would like describe a situation where she had an event at her home and wasn't able to, she had to cancel it because people wouldn't have been able to access the neighborhood or park. And the only other, in terms of data, she did present a listing of a property. It's a piece of land across the street from her home. Because I always ask.
There is an appraisal of this one too, Brad.
Well, it looked like an appraisal, but actually, I think the reason the appraisal's there is because when she bought the house in 2011, the appraiser had listed the road as public, and I think a lot of people probably had this experience back in the day. It wasn't known, and the situation has evolved.
Because on the inventory, it would have said public because of plowing purposes for the
Right.
town.
Yeah. So she kind of got caught up, and I think that's part of it. She's like, I never would have bought this if I'd known, and I think that it's just the first couple pages of an appraisal from the time she bought it. My question's always like, what evidence do we have for impact? Like, is there a market reaction to private homes? What impacts do we see? She did cite, and this is just kind of for the record, a home or a piece of land across from her that was listed for $200,000 and did not receive any viable offers. And I think in her testimony she said that they had received offers of like received offers at $50,000 or $60,000 from a list price of $200,000. So it's the first time I think I've heard in these discussions. Maybe I don't want to talk in generalities about all homes on all private roads in South Kingstown. I just want to look at her specific situation and the specific evidence that this person, because I don't think we're trying to do something that is applicable to every single situation in South Kingstown. So
I will say the reason why any private roads are probably for the unforeseeable future going to come to the board. The town will not touch these. The temperament is 0. So that's going to get reconciled. As an assessor, I'll look to see if it impacts market when the sales come in.
yeah, we're all in the same.
So as we'll leave it at that.
So I think that, I mean, if there is one sale that saw a market impact, then there's like a little bit of a canary in a coal mine that there's likely to be value impacts on, we don't, you know, we haven't seen, no one's brought to us any clear-cut evidence that, you know, this house sold for $500,000 last year and now sold for $300,000. We haven't seen that kind of data yet. And maybe it's where I mention it just because it's the kind of thing that we might be seeing more and more of in the future. So I don't know in terms of applicability to this case.
I always go back to
Her
the
land
original
assessment is at
appeal.
265, you know, and there's no like, we don't have a land comp available or a good comp available, but I just note that in light of, you know, just to kind of give respect to the argument and the evidence that was brought to our attention. It's a hard one. It makes some of this it makes sense what's being presented to us, but I kind of want to wait until I see like hard evidence, you know, typically.
With the assessment at 429,
Alice, did you recuse from this one?
I did.
Okay.
I was just going to say the 429. I've been selling houses 400 to 500. This would definitely get over 500 if you went to go sell it.
And I'm obviously not cowboying the entire town, but when I looked at this, I thought, ooh, grade 3 and average, she's kept up with this house. Yeah. So I didn't have any temperament to move that up. It's conservative, like you just said.
As with many cases like this, what would be helpful is an appraisal or some indication of if the total value is wrong.
And I have some temperament. I feel some empathy because she's probably the only. Well, we get a lot of unreasonable asks, and we like to be reasonable.
Yeah.
And she's asking for 419 for 429, and she's saying the house should be 214. It's at 163.8. I'm like, tomato, tomato. Land should be 205. It's at 265. And like Paula said, it would sell.
I mean, like one thing. I was just thinking if it would go in, like, this would be like a definition of either external or, external obsolescence, really. So it's something that's going on outside of a property that's impacting the utility of a property. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to saying do a 5% external obsolescence. And then if it's ever resolved, then, that would be one factor we could factor in.
Yeah, the values don't seem overly out of whack to me, but having a road like that, if I were to show that property, it certainly would have a negative impact.
Can't show on a rainy day.
Some of the private roads that we're dealing with, they're private roads and they can be maintained, but she does have a legitimate issue with the roads. So there is a point to that.
I believe we did have another appeal that we decisioned, and it was denied from the board a few meetings ago. Norma Rolke for Sandpiper, Sandspray,
I remember,
Sand something.
yeah. I remember
Just
that.
mindful of that, not that you take each appeal on its own merit
Correct.
based on what they provided.
My point would be she's showing evidence that her road does
You
get
got it.
washed
So,
out. And
I
to
just
me,
wanted that to be said so
Yep.
that,
I'm not making a blanket proposal. It's because of the fact that she has shown us that her road makes it does have a devaluation to the property, in my opinion, based on how bad it is. So I see that there is a point. Exactly how we translate that, I'm not sure. Brad, your point is comfortable with, to do nothing or to do something slight, but she does have a point there that I think is valid.
I would agree with you, Ken. That's a really good point. And, even if this road was a town road and there's water in the road, doesn't mean the town's going to fix it. There's a lot of roads in town that I know are problematic, and I'm sure owners have complained to, the utility department there, and they just don't have, it's not in the budget or the plan to take care of the road. So irregardless of the ownership of the road, that's a good point that there's a water issue there. So I would, if somebody wants to make a motion, I would probably support it.
So, What did I say, 10? I mean, I don't even
You
think,
had said 5%. If I did a 5%, oops, sorry, I went on the phone.
it's not gonna move the needle a ton. It's
It'll
gonna be-
move it to what she was thinking. It
Yeah.
moves it to 415.4, but even if you did a 4%, 418.3.
No, I think, I think 5's a nice round number. Someday, the situation might be resolved, she gets a nice new road, what, you know.
Or if a sale comes in and I see they
Yeah.
sell it, it's not impacted.
These things are selling for
That's coming right
$600
off.
all day long. So, I mean, I would just make, I think that's like, it's a gesture towards, and I think this, if we're taking these now on a case-by-case basis, which I think we'd be really well advised to do, you know, we've got photographs, we've got market evidence presented that we can kind of take into account. So my motion would be to make it's an external obsolescence factor of 5%, to reduce her assessment by that factor.
I'll second the motion. And just a comment, so so we're looking at what, around 419?
If I put the 5 on there, it brings it to 415.4. So the motion was the 5% external, which we'll have in the minutes, but the when I do the abatement, it'll be the difference between 429.6 and 415.4.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No, just to say, like, I don't think this sets a precedent for future, you know, I think the threshold, we'll have to have a threshold for future cases that involve the private road issue, and I think the threshold involves, like, a combination of the specific situation and some kind of market evidence of market reaction or impact on value.
Yep. So to be clear, my support of this has to do with, she has shown us that road is in very bad shape, which does have a negative impact. Not that she has a private road, but that she has a private road that is not always functioning is my reasoning.
Point well taken. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Number 124, correct? We already did 118.
That's correct. That's for 191 Spartina Cove Way. And boy, this is probably the most thorough packet I have received to date, which I really appreciated. It was very clear with her evidence. And so I'll just read the appeal. Reasons reduction sought, overvaluation and disproportionate assessment. The applicant's opinion of value is 1.4. We have this subject appraised, or assessed, I should say, for $2,259,800. And then C materials submitted. There is quite a big packet. I'm not going to go through it, but if you have any questions, I did deny the appeal. This was a custom. I sent a comp on 216 Spartina Cove Way. It was actually pretty close to 191. So this was built in, same effective year, built 2022, custom. The subject is a grade 6, the comp is a grade 7, and the comp is a little bit larger. It's 3,731 square feet living area, as opposed to the subject at 3,324. I thought it was the closest one to see the range of, another comparable custom in that area. And so the comp for 216 Spartina Cove, as close as I could get to apples, and also the same acreage as well, or similar. 216 is 1.16 acres. The subject is 1.39. The comp at 216 Spartina Cove is valued at $2,454,100, and the subject is $2,259,800. 216 did not appeal. That was my comp to support the town's value. I do have the subject pulled up on EagleView. I'll see if I can get some more apps pulled up.
I mean, what was presented was comprehensive. They literally compared their property with every single other home in their development, like home by home by home. And I do think, in this case, I think that the most comparable properties are, yeah, the other homes within Spartina Cove Way. This brings us back to the issue of the custom home, and what happens here is that you look at a picture of the subject, and then you look at all of the other homes that are not custom in the neighborhood, and they do seem to be homes of similar quality, similar construction. Obviously
Different
there's
phases
all
and
sorts of
different
styles. Yeah.
assessors touching it. So all of these will get looked at for the full for sure, and leading up to the statistical. The comp that I discussed is actually right across the street. So the subject is the highlighted parcel here. The town subject comp is right across the street.
And that's also custom, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have a field card, I think.
do.
If
This
not,
one
I
had
can
a
send
lot
them
of-
down.
No, it had a lot of material in it.
I'll send it down just so you can see
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
because
I
there's a
think
lot
that
going on over
what-
there. So I'll send the subject, field card, and then the comp, and then you've got everything else that everyone's going to get.
So what I would expect to happen here is the next time around, this is going to be like either they're all going to be customs or something like that will most likely happen.
Yeah, those are older homes.
right.
It was done, I don't know if it was done by the same builder, and then as you go through the neighborhood, the parcels are a little bit bigger, they're a little bit nicer location, and they are, a little more, custom. Yeah, it's just, it's evolved over time. I mean, they've been building there for years.
Yeah. Yep. I know that property too. It's probably, yeah, it's like a single story probably. I understand what you're saying, because some of these are definitely colonial. Like they're literally textbook photograph of a colonial.
That's information from Wendy on the house across the street. Okay. The field card from the house comparing the two.
Okay. That's the same.
Subject and the house across the street, that's Wendy's comp, it's not in the comps that go there.
I'm just passing down, it's easy to see side by side, the town's opinion of value for this appeal. I'm not going to worry about the people that didn't appeal that aren't here, but yeah, you've definitely got your work cut out with these customs, but you can see why I denied them.
Okay, is that one right there, yeah. Across the street, okay.
So your comp, Wendy, was just omitted from the analysis entirely?
That's right in here. We have that right here.
I might have put it in there.
Yeah, I think you did.
Not-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
You put it there?
Well, this is why like I said, next season, I don't feel comfortable necessarily making packets for appellants. They really should be doing it for you. You shouldn't see anything unless we're having a discussion and I'm handing it down. So I feel very uncomfortable about putting my backup work in here because that in some way could affect due process. And it should be a clean slate for them to have with you. Obviously, what we've done is considered. Oh, you got it, and that's why we're doing it here. So we're at the end of the season, we'll have an executive session and do a feedback of what we can do better moving forward, and also just to give you information on the new appeal law, the new appeal form, which we still haven't been approved for by the Rhode Island of League City. So yeah, they'll wait till the last minute and we'll get that form.
There are some very large swings here.
So I'm just looking at this narrative that the appellant submitted. And down at the bottom, it says, most recent sales are at 185 Spartina, December 24. And she says, it was 1850 minus 341 current land assessment. I mean, what is that? I mean, the bottom line is the house sold for 1.8, correct? So that's...
On page 4 of tab A, I know we're talking about year-end 12/31/24, but like 100 Spartina, 3 houses away, it's assessed at 189. It sold for 1.4. 37 Spartina, 1.1. It sold for 1.8. So you could see the sales are for the next statistical. It'll be interesting the way they're trending. We're closing the gap on some of this. It's just that the baseline, similar to like Roy's, was very low, so we had to bring them up to market value, so it hurts a little.
I don't know what to say on this one. I'm a little...
Yeah, Wendy and the town bring up some good points.
Yeah.
But I'm still uncomfortable with just such the large disparity within the same neighborhood.
It is. It's another version of a similar story that we've seen. In this case, they do present that this home was built by the same builder as a number of the other homes, but not all of them. As as the assessors pointed out, there's earlier phases where there's a different quality, different level of construction, different home styles. And what I'm looking for, I'm looking for the sale evidence in the neighborhood, and I'm also, since it was so recently built, I was curious to see if there was any cost data. Often, what we hear is, how could it be? I think the building's assessed at something like $800 a square foot, and they might say something like, it only cost me this much to build it, which I find that to be relevant for recent construction, but I don't think there's any evidence of their actual cost to build. Here, I
think in this, when I look at this application that they submitted, did they say? They say it looks like they purchased the property for $310,000, and then they're saying that they built the house for $1.2 million, and that was.
I was looking for that, yeah, thank you.
So, show the class of improvements right here.
I do want to note, there was a revale sale in Spartina Cove there was a custom sale, so I'll just bring that up. I'm not sure if it's relevant, but let's go there.
Oh, there you go, thank you.
All right, so 185 Spartina Cove Way is appraised at 2.553, and this is another example of a custom in Spartina Cove. Let's see. I actually have the field card pulled up here. I can zoom in if you need to look at it. So this is 185 Spartina Cove. It's a custom good, just like the subject. The subject, I don't have the field card in front of me. I think Alice, you have it. But effective year built 2021. Fairly large. I mean, the subject was 3.3. This is a bigger house at 4,305 square feet. But if you go to the value here, the structure's at 2.1, but the total value is 2.4, and it's sold for 2.4, and that was a custom. 2024. This is a reval sale. This is one of the 3 qualified sales that actually went into the reason why the custom increased. So that's important to note. We had 3 sales, and one of them was a Spartina Cove custom sale, and you can see that's.
That was the end of 24, you said?
Yeah, this is a relevant qualified custom sale for the reval, so I would definitely not unsee it.
Yeah, I mean, they include that in their analysis, and I think their point on that one, this is their data, their calculations. They're saying they have this at $528 a square foot. Now, actually, I can't tell if that's the assessment or that's the sale price. So I don't want to actually, because they're saying that they're effectively assessed at $810 a square foot as an assessment.
The reval sale here at 185 Spartina Cove Way, Chairman Bod, if you look at the first floor, it's saying unit cost $435. That's probably in line with custom. I would say that's actually conservative.
I would say that's, on the low side now, but, even in 24, and in 24, I mean, that's a reasonable number. If anything, that's somewhat conservative.
I think really, I think then what we're looking at is just the discrepancies between, their building assessment in relative to other homes in the neighborhood that are similar to theirs that weren't classified as custom.
I guess I'm just, I'm reluctant to do anything with this, but, if somebody, I just don't know how I'm going to approach this. I'm not trying. I just don't really want to wing this one, and I'm not sure if there's really enough information here to. I agree. It is a little on the high side, but I'm not sure. Based on some of the other sales in there and what this house is, when I look at this house as far as what it costs to build, I mean, it's listed here. It costs $1.2 million. That's probably. I'm not saying that's not true, but it's a nice house. It's a lot of house for $1.2 million, I guess, is my opinion as a builder.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still just feel that it's just such a large gap. Not that I feel the applicant is correct, but is there wiggle room in here? And from what you're looking at as a builder, I respect that opinion, so I can go with that. Brad, from an appraiser standpoint, are you seeing things that justify just such a large gap, or that's just the way things went out?
I think
built full late.
I think one of the difficulties here is this doesn't look like a case where it shouldn't be a custom. It seems to have been properly classified as custom.
Okay, that's important.
So it's like we probably want it in this category, but I think what we've seen with this one and with some others that have been classified as custom is that custom, that per square foot, the base cost applied to customs is just very strong.
Maybe that's what I'm more uncomfortable with.
So we're seeing in the neighborhood, they're assessed twice as much as most of their neighbors, and So really, we're kind of looking at the discrepancy rather than the, so that's,
I mean, I would support if somebody feels strongly about lowering this, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10% or something like that, down to maybe around 2 million or high one, in that 2 range around, 8 or 10%. I could probably support that, but I guess I'm just not going to take the lead on it. I'm not inclined to take the lead on this at this point. So,
And if you're headed down that road, I would handle this as a total test parcel override.
yeah.
Brad, your thoughts on David's comments based on what
yeah, I
you-
mean, I'm kind of I feel very similar, like I could get on board with, but this is where, the manual overrides are so hard because we're just kind of like trying to figure out a way we can come up with a number that acknowledges there's this widespread, but we don't have anything else to go on. But we've done, the last couple of meetings, we have applied little, adjustments in cases like this.
The only difference between, you've got collectively the custom issue, but then you've got your case-by-case based on its merit. In my humble opinion, in the town's defense, is that I could see why you overrode the other ones because they were the only custom and there was colonials and all this other stuff. This situation, there are customs and there is a revale sale. I don't see this like I see the other ones, and that's all I'll say about that.
Point well taken, Wendy. It's kind of what I was trying to say, but you said it really well. Thank you.
No, it's helpful. In the case really rests on like the relative assessment compared to the others. But yeah, I think we're struggling with it because it is very nice home, custom category applies. I imagine what needs to happen is a closer look at some of these other properties might be erroneous, and I guess they benefit from. The neighbors may benefit from.
I'm excited to do that for the next revale because it may be similar to some of the condos where it was a first phase, it was that, it was a different building, it wasn't, I don't know until we go, and that's a lot of work.
Alice, what are your thoughts down there?
Well, I'm comparing it with 185. And, looking at the comparisons, this was significant, but I think the size of the house, theirs is more than a larger house with a larger lot. I think it's do something, bringing it down.
So we kind of reconcile between keeping the way it is with doing a small one, so
Yeah.
at least we're in that gap where we're closing the gap. Do you have a recommendation of what you are thinking, Alice, specifically?
At the moment, no. Let me look at the card again.
How about you, Brad?
Well, I was just gonna, I was looking at the 185. It's not a great, it's such a large, like, the per square foot basis is hard because it's almost twice as large, so of course it's gonna show a lower, assessed value per square foot. But I do have my calculator out for what that's worth.
That's worth a lot.
We're getting, we're going mathematical now, huh, Brad?
Yeah, this is the bot approach. That's right. I had in my notes when I took from last time. I was just like, I made a note that their calculation at over $800 a square foot, and they've kind of broken down how they get to the $800. It's just the house assessment divided by the GLA at 2421. So, and then on that 185 is at 528. So I was like, I made a note to like maybe make adjustment on that basis. Like if we reduced, like if we went from 810 to like 750, so a moderate adjustment on a per square foot basis. It would take their house assessment from 1.95 to 1.81, 1.815. So that's like, $140,000 reduction. That would be, it's like maybe 5 to 10% off of the base, off of the home assessment. Something like that. There's a modest downward adjustment of the house assessment. Something like that. So, going from $810 a square foot to $750 a square foot brings you from, the numbers I just mentioned.
Yeah, if you went down to 7, suppose you went down, say you went down to like around 700
Yeah.
a foot, just out of curiosity, what would that?
700 a square foot. Is just applied to the house is at 1.694. So it's about, close to 1.7 million for the house rather than 1.95.
So if we did something like 700 a foot, that put us at 1.6, and we got to add on the lot, which is going to bring it up to.
Just over 2 million. So it's right close to 2 million. So I can even add that in with my calculator.
306 is a lot, right? 360,000. I mean,
So-
306,000.
Yeah. So exactly. So following using their kind of like breakdown of the cost per square foot, if we take that 809 and bring it down to 700, and then add the land back in, their assessment would go to literally to $2,900,000. So almost a flat 2 million.
Based on what I'm looking at on this sheet here that Alice mentioned, I'm okay with the 700.
2 million is a nice round number.
When I look at the big picture here, I think 2 million is, again, I'm not using my calculator on that one, but it just seems like a reasonable compromise or a reasonable, somewhat of a compromise based on what I'm looking at here on this comparison on the sheet from 191 to 185. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't think we should be going any lower than what we're talking about here.
No,
If anything, I call that the bottom.
I think I was more inclined before to do a larger one, and then the evidence that's been presented and with the comps and looking at that, I'm more inclined to do a less of one. But where I am on that, I'm not positive. That's why, again, I appreciate your opinions on it.
I think we're just like, to me, it's just like we make there's discrepancies all over the neighborhood. And the other thing that sometimes comes into play and brings them to our table is that they saw, an overall assessment increase of over 50%, where the neighbors saw an assessment increase in the teens, or 20%, 15%. So they just saw a magnitude of increase compared to like literally the people in there, next to their. I think it makes sense to acknowledge that and, offer some kind of, even if it's a short-term abatement. So
I'm comfortable with what you're talking about, Brad, if you want to make that a motion.
I would just kind of go where you were going, and I would make a motion to just to reduce the assessment to $2 million total as an override.
Okay, I'll second that. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Okay, it is 11:50. Does anybody want to take a 5-minute break? Well, first of all, what time are we all comfortable staying here until? 12:30 is definitely going to be the latest. Yeah, We have the room until 12:30? Wendy?
We have the room till, I don't think anyone's in here till 3, not that I would recommend that,
If
but,
there's 6 appeals remaining, one is two are combo, kind of the same, so there's gonna be 5 to go through. We can make an effort at it, but I think we've been here for a bit, so maybe a short break would be appropriate, just
I'd
use the
like to take
laboratory.
I'd like to take 5 if everybody's okay with that.
let's do it.
I just, 12:30, I really have to go.
Same here.
You guys are welcome to stay.
I think
I'm
we
sorry if we're gonna be short, I just have a.
No, let's go, we totally respect your time.
I have to go too. I can't stay after 12:30.
So we'll do what we can, and then we'll deal with it at 12:29, we'll see where things stand, and we'll deal with it at however the chips fall, right?
Alice, if you can shut your microphone off, that would be lovely. All right, 5-minute breaks, go.
Okay, we're on number 127, correct?
That's correct, from 118B Driver Lane. I'm going to go quick. I'm going to read the basis of the appeal. Overvaluation, disproportionate assessment. Applicant's opinion and value is $650,000. The town has 118B Driver Lane assessed at $807,500. This is a Seabreeze unit with 2-car garage. Explanation, I own no land and receive no town services other than fire and rescue, which I am taxed separately for. Single-family homes that are larger with land and full services and my comps listed are assessed lower than my new assessment. I went ahead and just pulled the spreadsheet that we did for the previous appeal down there by South Shore. So I did highlight where the applicant is as far as assessed value, year construction. We felt he was in line, so I denied his appeal, but now it's your turn. Good luck.
111B Driver Lane.
But 118B, and the applicant in his appeal did provide a comparable sales attachment. I don't believe he compared to another unit in South Shore, but was comparing, in my humble opinions, oranges, you know, like a private beach club and Camden Court and other, what they felt to be a comparable. So we'll let you review that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going through this one when he presented, and I was trying to compare it with, in the spreadsheet that you shared, their unit, 118B assessed at $815,000, and what I see surrounding it are many other homes, many other properties that had a similar year built that are assessed in the general range of the subject, right? You know, the 65 Driver Lane, year built 2021. It's 16 square feet more, assessed for 810. You know, they're kind of in the ballpark. He did say there's 100 Driver Lane was mentioned as the same. He said it was the same house as his, right? I guess.
For 20,000 less.
Yeah, if you look
It's
at
assessed for a little bit less, but it's also the year built is 2020, not 2021. So I imagine some of that comes out in the wash with depreciation. You know, and then also, you know, there's. Yeah, Potter's Circle, 20 Potter's Circle was mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, the difference, you're
771.
talking 815 versus 795. He's
Yeah.
got 100 less, exactly what you said.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't see a lot of that. Just in terms of, like, everyone in the development seems to be assessed on the same basis. So I didn't see any disproportionality there. And then the comps, and these are sale comps. Yeah, when he bought his house for $638 4 years ago, and you know what was it was the sales of just other comparables from other neighborhoods.
Many of which are not necessarily true apples-to-apples comps.
There were a few sales for condos in South Shore, and I wasn't using the higher end, you know, the 1.2s that are selling, but if you look actually, I think it's the third line from the top, which is 395 South Shore Village Boulevard, which is in maybe a street or two away, but in my book, that's apples to apples. It's in the same condo development. The sale took place in 2024. That was a reval sale. The sale price was $825,116, and we have it assessed at $879. So, yeah, I mean, I would look at the 24 sales.
What was that again, 825,000 you said, Wendy?
You got it, and then same exact Seabreeze unit. 26 putters sold September 24th for $823. We've got it assessed at $774. Now, keep in mind there are the swings for the sales are sometimes something will sell, and then we're like, oh, there's a finished basement in there, and then we'll go, so without going deep diving into other sales, you just take it at face value. July 24, 44 Birdie sold for 807, appraised at 772. So there are quite a few sales, Seabreeze sales for 2024.
Yeah, so it looks like there's plenty apples to apples sales comps in the neighborhood, so we don't need to go outside of the neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, I would, in this case, I don't see grounds for a change. I would make a motion to deny the appeal for lack of sales evidence.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I would second it for the exact same reason. I'm not seeing the evidence here that's been provided to warrant me to make any adjustments.
I agree with Brad and Ken. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 129. When you're ready, Wendy, if you want to just brief us, that would be wonderful.
This one was a little tricky. Inside the appeal form itself, there was kind of trickled off, so I made copies, but if you have any questions about that, just let me know. But this is for Appeal 129-176A Browning Street, overvaluation, specifically of land value. Now, we know we can't just appeal land, but anyway, that's the lens that they'd like us to look at. Applicant's opinion of value is $468,600, and we have the subject at 1 minute, sorry.
At the last meeting, when the applicant presented, he stated that he would provide an appraisal report for this decision hearing.
That did not happen. I didn't hear back at all, actually. So, but we did get this letter on March 24th that was submitted, just speaking more to what they thought were comparable parcels and Moonstone, Matunic, yada, yada, yada. And there's extensive spreadsheet that the applicant provided as well.
I'll just go on the appraisal. I made a note about the appraisal because they actually they say they have a valuation based on certified appraisers' assessed value of land. So I did ask for that we asked for that. It wasn't provided. I mean, they're really focusing. I think what the materials that they present, their point is kind of like they feel the entire neighborhood, the Vision's land valuation for properties in that neighborhood are too high. You know, so they're really kind of, the reason that they're zooming in on land value for their particular assessment is they're just letting the town know that they view the land assessment as just in general in kind of south of, they kind of highlight a lot of south of Route 1 neighborhoods,
Yeah,
right?
they had, if you look at the field card, the condition factors are 1, so just your normal, baseline curve got applied. The neighborhood 900 is where the increase is, so you see that 4.15, that's about one of the highest the highest increase of the neighborhoods for this reval. We had a lot of no changes, but that one, the old 21 reval rate was 3.70, so the new 24 statistical was 4.15 based on sales. So that increase is specifically tied to the reval sale.
They did include, They did kind of handwrite in a number of sales in the neighborhood, but it's very hard for me to decipher. It looks like sales between 50,000 and 460,000, but that was sold between June of 2023 and November 2024, but I don't really have, like, this is like when somebody gives us just raw data to analyze. I don't know what we're supposed to do with just like a pile of raw data. I can't, you know, I can go out and do my own appraisal, but I mean, I don't think that's our job either. I mean, they're assessed at, their land is assessed at something like 682,000.
As far as the town, the land is applied fairly and distributed amongst, you know, like-kind properties, which is why I denied the appeal. And you're right, it's not the town's job or the board's job to do the research to, you know, if they provided, you know, information you don't feel that it warrants it, then, you know, you can make a decision based on that.
Like so from my perspective, I don't really have enough to go on here. I know that we saw significant jumps in land, in property values south of Route 1 at large, in at least the previous two assessments, you know. And I know that we've seen land values come up before, but I don't have enough here for me to work with to make any kind of change based on what's presented. We expected an appraisal would have probably been compelling, but in the absence of that, I don't have enough to go on to make a decision. So with that in mind, I would make a motion to deny the appeal.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I would second it. I agree with Brad.
I agree too. I agree with Brad. Point well taken. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Next one is 131 Camp Fuller Road.
Let me read the
I believe that was the gentleman, the attorney. I think he was the attorney, and he was there at the beginning of
Yep.
Camp Fuller Road, if I
You
remember
got it.
right, with all the
They,
dust.
Spot on, yes. Their reason reduction sought overvaluation, applicant's opinion of value is $1,283,100, and then the comps provided were listed on the appeal: 120 Brown Bear, 40 Wild Rose, 380 Camp Fuller, and 1157 Tuckertown. I just want to make a note that anything that's not correct, as far as like finding as a fact whether the road's paved, unpaved, I'll make a change, and I did do that. It did not change the assessment at all, but I do want to mention that the appellant did say that the road was paved, and it's not, so I changed it to unpaved on the field card. And I think that was just a mistake because all the other ones on that road seem to be coded correctly. And when we looked at conventional, am I looking at the right one? Yes, 40 Camp Fuller Road. This is a conventional with a grade 7 year built 2020, effective year built 2020. The CO came through on February 26, 2021. Gross living area, 3,484. This was built by Meridian Builders. I believe that's a custom builder, correct, Mr. Bog? Okay.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, like I said, we really look at the plans. If it's a custom builder and the plans are custom, we may lean on it being a custom style, but in this case, I inherited it as a conventional, and that's where it is. The comp that I provided to the appellant was 1332 South Road. It was also conventional at a good, and the effective year built was 2024. I didn't find anything that was like kind in 2020. Very similar gross living area, 3,382. And unfortunately, I couldn't find one where the land, you know, there wasn't a plug-in. So just looking at the building itself, we have that building at 1.2. So So it's in line if I were to find an apples to apple.
I mean, it was a recent construction, so 2020, so not brand new at this point, but, I mean, they did mention, I think that they have in my notes I have we talked about their construction costs for the building at, I think, around $800,000.
Yes.
There's some time has
correct.
passed since then, right? So they're assessed at 1.32 for the building, if I'm not mistaken. But that was kind of brought to our attention, just that, the discrepancy between, now at this point, it's like a 5-year spread from the original date of construction, but, something
And
that
the appellant did send an email on Sunday, March 22nd, which you have as your latest submission. And so I think the things that are highlighted are clearly what he's wanting us to look at. I do want to just make a note that the property unchanged year over year and assessment increased nearly 31% in 1 year. That is the typical reval increase. I didn't just push a button and make one person go 32%.
I do recall him making a point that he's at the beginning of the road, and he does get all the traffic flow, and similar to what we did discuss a little bit with Spartini Cove, the beginning maybe some is not quite as valuable as down the road. Down the road certainly gets closer to the water, more privacy. So he had a little bit of a point there, but I don't know if it's enough to reflect a change. But I do remember that from his.
I just zoomed out just so you could see in relation to Post Road here. Clearly not a waterfront or anything by any means, but he's on that side of the road. But I see what he means. He's close here to Post Road, so, and here's.
So he gets all the traffic, all the campers, all that stuff.
I mean, he did build it there, so I'm not gonna say anything else. Comps that he provided, just the reason why I didn't take them into consideration, even though they were on Camp Fuller Road, is it was a colonial built in 2011, a colonial on Wild Rose Court, effectively built 2000, modern and 2 modern contemporaries. So I didn't see that as a custom. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose it. Comp.
It's good comps, right? Because they are, even if they're kind of the dates of sale are scattered. They show a range. Kind of in the neighborhood of $1 million to $1.3 million. So I think, just broadly, and yeah, as you point out, these are older homes in most cases. And his being assessed at 1.6, I think, is where the disconnect is for the property owner.
Yeah, his comps were, like you said, in the range of 1 to 1.4-ish.
You said so. The paved versus dirt. You made that
Just a
notation.
descriptor.
It's a description on the field card.
Yeah, it did not change the value at all, but I
Right.
didn't make that change.
Maybe at some point, yeah. If we learn that there's an effect on value of proximity to Route 1, and I know there's that whole strip on Old Post Road, or what I think it's called Old Post Road there, too, that has some nice homes, but they all back up on the highway. They may have impacts, but I don't know. We've ever heard any.
I'm
appeals.
hoping for the next reval, we have a new GIS software, and we're still trying to figure out how to make things happen where I don't have to do the Arthurcraft charts with the color coding. I should be able to go into GIS and kind of filter, style, do some of the comps live. And I don't know when that'll happen, but
Right, because I would want to know, is
you know
his
what I'm saying?
neighborhood, is he in the
Everything's
neighborhood?
manual. I have to go deep dive field cards, like you were before the binders on the floor, organizing all your paperwork. It's not, we're in 2 worlds. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the software gets better, that we can identify that, and I can have that to you for moving forward. But unfortunately, we don't have that now.
So his neighborhood code at 0580 or the neighborhood adjustment at 1.55, I'm just kind of assuming that he's grouped with properties to his south, right? But that would be kind of a place to look if we want to take a look at that. And it's really, when you get to the neighborhood boundaries, it can be really hard, right? As we've seen even
All right, I
today.
just wanted to make sure I didn't shoot from the hip here. So neighborhood code 580, they got the weight for south of Route 1. One of the lower rates, though, for south of Route 1, which is 1.55 in comparison to the other neighborhoods that were at like 4.15, 4.25. So that's taken into consideration based on sales.
I mean, similar to the last one, we have a list of sales, but again, to me, that's just raw data. It's not, and I don't know what to do with a list of sales. We can go home and do an appraisal. So it is another case where, an appraisal would be persuasive.
I would agree with that also, but
And I found it less compelling than the reduction on the road that you gave. I can't remember the name of the street now. I think was it Periwinkle? I'm not sure. Where they didn't know they purchased the house. I mean, you know where you're building the house, so the empathy went out the window with this one.
I mean, this is, this is a dirt road, but this is a nice area. It's a very desirable area, and I'm just, I'm just thinking about what we, over there is Spartina Cove too. What we just went through with that, and I'm looking at this, what it's assessed at right now, and I guess looking at it with no scientific or mathematical evidence in front of me, and I'm like, I don't see this assessment being unreasonably high. At 1.6. So, I guess my opinion is, or my thought is, I'm hard pressed to change this unless somebody on this table here has a valid reason, which I'm more than happy to listen to.
not based on the evidence presented. Although I do remember he was a very complimentary, nice gentleman. Which I appreciate, but
Unfortunately, that isn't. Unfortunately, it's not swinging the evidence in front of us that we have, I guess, is really what we need to look at.
I think that is a little bit more important. Brad, do you have anything to
No,
add?
I think I'd be reluctant to make a change. I acknowledge some of the issues raised, the neighborhood issues, the driveway, the noise. I think his construction costs from 2020 or 2021 are hard to, it's been some fair amount of time that's passed. I know that he's got, the insurance replacement cost is around 1.2, but
Anyone that built right around that, you would know during COVID, they couldn't even probably, I don't know what happened there, but a lot of people couldn't even get materials, and
Yeah.
that was a tough time to build.
it doesn't quite add up to something that I can really have a basis for a change on. So, the other thing that he's probably fortunate that he wasn't classified as a custom. So I'm going to give, I'll give a hat tip to the assessor for that one. So, No, I would, I think just kind of taking the consensus, I could offer a motion to deny the appeal.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I will second the motion to deny the appeal. I do agree with what Brad mentioned, and, we've had some discussion on the record about our feelings. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 132.
I can go real quick on this.
Salt Pond Road.
Okay.
This one was, it's a home located over on Salt Pond Road. What I remember about this one is this was a sale from 2024, right? So they saw a big jump in assessment, right, from 404 to 691. But they also purchased their home for $711,000, right? And so, to me, what I imagine happened is that sale occurred in July of 2024 in that neighborhood. It probably was used as a qualified sale for assessment purposes and was then factored into the new assessment. So before they bought that house, yeah, the assessor may not have quite known what homes were worth in that neighborhood or that area, and that sale kind of set the market. That's what I'm guessing. So that's where I think they're being reactive to the change. Like it's a pretty big jump, but I mean it's not even based on another sale in the neighborhood. It's based on their very own sale. So an assessment at $691. They bought it for $711 that same year. For them to come in and say that the fair market value should be $600,000 it's very hard for me to take that seriously. Although I acknowledge a big jump in assessment and taxes is difficult, especially for a new home, a new home purchase. But I didn't see. I looked through. They kind of presented some other assessment comps, I believe. They're not going to market value because they don't have any case there. But they kind of gathered some other similar split level homes and tried to go on the basis of disproportionality to other groups of homes in the neighborhood and outside of the neighborhood. But I just didn't see the evidence to support their opinion of value on that one.
Are you making a motion, Brad?
I don't want to. I want to leave some room, but I would make a motion to deny the appeal. I think that the assessed value is very close to what they bought the house for, a little bit less, and I think that's strong. That's the strongest evidence I've seen is their own purchase. So I would make a motion to deny the appeal.
I'll second the motion, and I do agree with what Brad has discussed, or what Brad's mentioning. Any other discussion?
No, I can't argue with anything you guys are talking about.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes.
This is tricky. Just with the time, we've got maybe like 7 or 8 minutes until Ken has a pretty hard stop. So I want to just be respectful.
If you have to, I think we're going to try to get through this, and Ken, if you have to leave, Alice can take over. So I mean, if you're we're on 135 now, right?
The same owner, Mr. House, was present at the last meeting, and I'll be honest, it was hard to keep up with him.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I guess I got to taste my own medicine because some people say that about me. Whoa. But he had a lot of good information. I decompressed when I came back into the office and went through sales. I've got some stuff for you, basically. So I'm going to hand this down, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4.
To me, it kind of boils down to maybe the land factor might be something to look at there, because I know he had some neighbors that were at like a 4, and he's at a 4.
Yeah, I'll hand just base the sales just on customs. There. And we'll go ahead and make, he's going to get an abatement no matter what, because we looked at, one of the factors he talked about was the utility storage that was under where the pillars are. I'm sorry, I ate lunch. So anyway, what we ended up doing is we changed it from a storage, we changed it from storage area, STG, to a UST, with a utility storage unfinished, and that does give him a value difference, a reduction of $15,400 or a $137.67 abatement. So that's going to happen. Other than that, Jennifer and I agree. We've been out to this house that it's a custom. I'd argue the grade could be higher than a 6, but it's a 6. It was built in 2014. It's kept in great shape. It's got an excellent view. It's right on the water. It's got the condition factor. And of course I have empathy because, acts of God happen, and I know that the storm affected him more than his neighbors. Of course I have empathy for that. But as far as, holding value for the town, we feel like it's in line, and then all the other information he gave you, you can decompress on that and see what you'd like to do from there. Oh, I forgot. I've got more. I remember now. It's all coming back to me. I got charts. The condition factor. I'm going to hand this down.
Yeah, I mean, that one stuck in my mind because he does claim that he's got a slightly obstructed view from telephone lines, I believe, or power lines. Yeah, that's like the one.
So this is Tim. Right, you said a 3.8?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I lied.
No, 4.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so my what I was left with it when he presented was curiosity about the factor applied to the site, the land site, because I think that was a part of his case that his neighbors are, what's the difference between a 3.9 and a 4? I remember that question.
Once you get the visual and you look at the bird's eye view, and I have no problem mailing this to Mr. House if he would like me to. So if you're looking at the map, I took a screenshot off of our GIS aerial view. So he's highlighted in yellow. He's lot 40. If you look, his condition factor is a 4. His neighbors to the left are all 4s as well. So lot 41, lot 27. All the first land, he doesn't have an acre, so he's going to be at a 4. If you start noticing, it's 3 lots down. The first land acre is at a 4, and then you'll see residual topo at 0.25. Mm-hmm. So if he had the same amount of acreage, he probably would have seen the same reduction past the acre, but he's getting the prime full acre site because he has less than an acre. And then if you look at lot 23, which is a few down to the left as well, that's less than an acre, so that one's at a 4, and then you start going into the 4 again with topo. There was one that's a 3.95. I'm sure that they provided evidence that maybe that shouldn't be a 4 because you start seeing more marshland down that way. Now his direct abutter to the right, they're at a 3.185. Again, when I see that, I know that either it was a board, something happened where there was evidence provided either to the assessor or to the board for that reduction, and it's minor. If he wants to do that, he can. We're not going to change it for the town isn't otherwise. And then if you start going to the right, all these .10, those are non-buildable, and they're actually all owned by one party, so those are not comparable sites. And then there's no house on there either. If there wasn't a house on his, I'm sure he probably would be at that minimum.
And if you go to, I think it looks like the main parcel down the road there is assessed at the factor.
Yeah, if you go all the way to the right,
or something.
And that's because that road used to be accessible. Now it's not. There's reasons that that's not a 4.
Makes sense. It looks different.
And it starts to get more complicated when you start going all the way down Charlestown Beach Road. I'll spare you all the details of this. But as far as him being not like his neighbors at a 4, town does not agree with that statement.
Yeah. So but you will. So there was the kind of the land factor. I'm comfortable with that. He's in line with the neighbors that are most comparable to him. So that's been resolved for me. And then really the other thing is just this issue with how to deal with the storage closet, which you're going to take care of.
When I get into the office later today or tomorrow, we'll make sure that we make that change and he gets that abatement.
Yeah, that covers it for me. I don't even really think that there was any other basis, and, you know, like, there's certainly custom, very nice homes, that I don't see any other red flags with that, so, yeah, no, the land factor looks right in line, and you're taking care of the paddleboard closet. And I mean, they mentioned something about electric heat pumps or something like that, but, you know.
I believe we need that.
Yeah, that's the only other, that's like more of a, that's like a your office thing anyway, so.
Oh, we actually, so we did change it from, what do we have, radiant to heat pump. I think that was the only other change, so that abatement is the heat pump and the storage.
Okay. Yeah, well, in light of that, I
That
think,
was what from all that information, that I digested. If you guys picked up on something I didn't see,
that's
let me
all.
know, but.
no, and the note I left for myself was to just take a look at the, you know, the land. I mean, this aerial does a good job
Yeah.
of kind of laying out what he's got.
Brad, if you don't
I
turn
don't
on
see-
your mic, that would be lovely, I'm sorry. Oh, is it on?
It's on, maybe I gotta lean
Okay.
forward a little
Oh,
bit.
you know what, it's the light, the way the light hits the mic.
For some reason, that's not letting.
Oh, but can you hear, maybe it's,
There it is.
yeah, I gave it a jiggle. I gave it a little jiggle.
We had tech issues today, good lord, I'm just making sure the people can hear
As
me. You
long
guys
as,
have stuff
as
to
long
say.
as our fans on YouTube can hear what we're doing.
There's a lot of them out there, right?
Yeah, I'm just taking it.
I agree with what your comments, Brad. Yeah, I like this map. Thank you, Wendy. This is really good.
No, it lines up. I mean, we've seen other cases, I think, with waterfront land where you know, the site is very narrow or has limited frontage. But this is, you know, there's nothing like that happening here as far as I can see in this neighborhood. They're all looking very, you know, kind of a similar water amenities, view amenities. So, yeah, in light of that, I would make a motion to deny. I mean, we do one at a time, right? But in terms of appeal number 135, 994 Charles Sun Beach Road, I'd make a motion to deny that appeal.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second. Second from Alice. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Okay, then we have 135
I think this one is 130.
Beach Breaker.
It's 136. There's a typo there because it's two 135s.
Yeah.
So as it pertains to Appeal 136, Beach Breaker LLC, 988 Charlestown Beach Road, I would make a motion to deny the appeal. It's the same basis, the appeal on the basis of the neighborhood, the condition factor and the land, it appears to be appropriately assessed.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Okay, is there anything else on this agenda?
We are done for this.
We just have to schedule our next meeting, right?
Is there any loose items that we have to discuss at this point?
We do, I do at some point, and I will communicate via email to set something up before the next appeal cycle because, like I said, there's a new law on the books. There's a new deadline instead of it being 90 days after the first payment due October 30th. Now it's November 15th. So some things have changed, but like I mentioned before, it's not going to be per appeal where it's got to be a certain amount of days. So, you know, in the beginning, you had the appetite where we could kind of classify agendas by issue. That will be something I can manage moving forward. So we're going to have a meeting and we're going to go through all that, but we still don't have the form approved yet from the state. So once the assessors meet and I get that all ironed out and we have a new process and much like educational material we want to hand out to appellants so they know what to do and hard lines, and it's going to be easier in many ways moving forward. So once I get that all wrapped up, I'll contact y'all and we'll make like an executive session feedback.
Yeah, I was going to say last time, like some kind of organizational meeting would be great if we could do it
before we get into our
sometimes it's nice if we have a sense of what the appeals are.
I think this was
to kind of give an overview of like, listen, you have 50% of these are condo.
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna know next, like, this season, there's no way I could, because
Right.
we were already meeting in September, and I was still receiving appeals, right?
Yes.
So it was
Totally.
whoa, Wild West, right?
moving
And
targets.
it's been that way, so, I think the assessors around I have been heard. Judge Leach up at the State House has done a wonderful job about trying to, make it easier, not easier, but just make it more sense, so that people aren't appealing for no reason or aren't going to court for no reason. I'll give you an example. Palisades Mill, they were here, I denied them, you denied them, they didn't give me income expense, no appraisal, nothing, and they did litigate. Well, now, moving forward, you must apply an income expense, or you can't go to court. So there's a lot of changes in the commercial side, so we'll hash that all out, we'll have a meeting and we'll go through it. And I think some of the, I don't know what new problems will occur, but the problems of the past we're getting better in this state, as far as how to manage some of this stuff. So we'll things to look forward to. It'll be exciting, and we may have tablets and stuff instead of binders. So woo, get excited! But for now, we can adjourn, and then we'll worry about that.
I like
We're
it.
going to go to the beach, and then we'll worry about
Yes,
this.
thank you so much. Thank you to
Yes,
you,
thank
Wendy,
you.
and to the entire office for all the
Thank you
help
for,
on this season.
getting us more
Thank you.
organized. That was great. I love those books. I put my South Kingstown sticker on my three-ring binder. I'm not sure if I want to give that up.
250.
All right, any other discussion?
No, I think
Hearing none, do we have I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
We have I'll second it. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.